Our native village is to be found an hour and a half's drive from Bangalore city centre, deep into the Karnataka countryside. For a city kid like me, this rural oasis is a world apart from my normal habitat. It's also a world apart from the managing director and founder's former life as a Sachin Saatchi advertising executive.
Yes, I was out and out a corporate person. And sometimes I tell myself probably the corporate world inspired me into this. Because after 20 years, you don't want to be in the rat race. Because you realize you've got to be a rat to be in the rat race. So you want to kind of get out.
This is real back-to-nature stuff. Guests cross paths with local wildlife, eat from the on-site organic farm, and if they wish, bathe in a swimming pool. No ordinary pool, mind. This one's kept clean not with chemicals, but aquatic plants. And the resort itself is mostly powered by wind and solar energy. De rigueur these days for any self-respecting eco-resort. But our native village's pièce de résistance is the Soul Spa, indeed the world's first, as the owner proudly claims, showing his time in brand management wasn't completely wasted.
Every time you exhale...
So, time to at least taste the delights of the Soul Spa. First up, sound healing.
Just feel yourself sinking down, loosening up. Just lie down, relax. Breathing in deeply.
The base of this bed is a hollow piece of wood with a hole underneath that corresponds with the solar plexus of the reclining guest. What happens next is quite honestly an aural and physical surprise. Kapila is plucking 50 strings under the bed, yes, that's what she's doing, to produce sounds and vibrations that range from deep rumbling bass to finger-tingling pizzicato, each designed to soothe a mental or physical discomfort. It certainly hit the spot for me. So what's next? Well, no rest for the wicked.
We're going to rebirth you. A typical rebirthing session will take at least about 2 or 3 hours. But we're going to give you a kiss of what it's like.
Through continuous circular breathing, which gradually accelerates, you're encouraged to relive some of your traumas.
We will now use your breath to try and release some of the trauma that you've been carrying in your system.
Maybe even back to the moment when you were pulled kicking and screaming from the comfort of the womb. But hey, that's personal.
Every individual today carries traumas. The first trauma is when you come through the birth canal. That is an excruciatingly painful experience. And then when the baby comes into the birthing suite and you hold the baby upside down, you whack it because it needs to cry, the first breath, I'm told. And then unceremoniously you chop its umbilical cord away. There's only connection to that mother for 9 whole months. That's a lot of trauma. People cry, they laugh, they scream, they kick. There's some people who just sit down and breathe. So everybody, obviously, you react differently to it. But that's exactly what happens. You remove and you release deep-seated traumas.
And from the womb to previous incarnations.
When you go through past life regression, you start to understand why you are where you are in your life today. Every present life symptom, as we call it, has its root in a past life experience.
And we're talking about one past life or several past lives? I mean, how far back are we talking?
It was told that the Buddha had more than 700 past lives. I figure all of us will probably have a couple of thousand of them.
Sushil believes that in a previous life he was a KLM pilot who died in a crash in the early 1950s. So, has he thought about contacting the pilot's family?
You really don't want to prove it for the world. You just want to prove it for yourself. By contacting the families that's of the lineage of the person that I was in a past life, I'm only going to prove it to the world.
So once you've explored your past lives and found the child inside you, how do you then use this new spiritual awakening? Well, one answer, and listen very carefully, is bullocks.
You can actually pass your bullock cart driving test here. Jaywalking chickens or small children, beware.
Okay, steer it to the right, okay.
You can revert to the child you once were by playing some village games. Funny how at times like this, the corporate winner deep inside you rears his ugly head once again. So, what's the purpose of our native village? Well, it's not cheap, and companies come for conferences and team-building weekends. There's clearly a business brain behind all this, something CB is not about to apologise for.
Our vision is to have a chain of resorts like this around the world, because the world needs it. Every metropolitan city needs it. So we plan to have a chain of these right around the entire world, definitely.
And you want to make money out of it? I mean, it's a commercial enterprise.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
But perhaps in truth, these 12 acres of land serve a greater purpose, as an antidote to the tough times that we live in.
Amongst all this growth, everybody is in a hurry. Everybody is rushing. There is no time for anything anymore. In a manner of speaking, we've made spirituality more palatable. For the corporate world, we made spirituality more palatable for the cynical Western and the corporate huncher.
And let's face it, with Bangalore's equable climate and the late afternoon hue, CB may be onto something.